Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. Once again, it's Saturday night. You're neck deep into the weekend now, and hope you're having a great time. Whatever it is you're doing, however it is you're spending your weekend, but thank you so much for spending at least part of it here with me and of course on the show, the Paranormal Portal. But, excuse me, hold on. There. But anyway, we got an epic show lined up for you tonight. I am joined, of course, by the big branch himself, Mr. Sheldon Thomas. How you doing, buddy?
Well, hello there, everyone. I'm feeling great. Ready to get into some portal action. How are you doing, Dad?
I'm good. I'm excited. I always get excited when it's showtime. It's like, many times I'm sitting here going, oh, got this going on, that going on, and then I get this swell of excitement because I know it's a show night. I really do love doing these shows. So it's truly always a highlight for me. And it's even a bigger highlight to start the show and see all these, names coming in. It's like an episode of Cheers. I use that analogy a lot, but it's like, all of you guys that keep coming over and over, and even new faces popping in. It's really an exciting thing. So thank you all for coming in and being a part of the journey. If you're new and you're looking on YouTube, you're checking it out, then I'd love to see you get subscribed and be a part of it. Then you'll know when we're going live all the time, if you ring the bell especially. But yeah, it's going good. Let me see. I guess before I go any further, I do have to thank the sponsor of the Paranormal Portal. And, of course, this is Cryptid Coin, ladies and gentlemen. If you're into cryptocurrency or you're fancying the idea of cryptocurrency, then this may be a good fit for you. And I don't pretend to be an advisor by any measure, so, do your own research, follow your own knowledge on this. But if you're looking for a decent cryptocurrency, maybe Cryptid Coin is for you. They, of course, forged this coin at the heart of cryptid research and investigation. So it's really resonates with me and with, of course, with the show. And it means the world that they've stepped in and said, hey, you know what, we're gonna help keep the show rolling. So if you want to know more or find out if Cryptid Coin might be a good fit for you, then head over to cryptidcoin.io. Again, cryptidcoin.io, and see what you think. But it's now available on PancakeSwap as well, so getting involved is even easier than ever. So check it out, and special thanks to Cryptid Coin for helping to make every episode of these live shows happen. So excellent. But we always have a bucket full of stuff to get through, and I got a lot of stuff pulled up for tonight, Sheldon.
All right.
Well, it's kind of my job, though, too.
True.
I just sat here and said, hey, Sheldon, what's up? What are you doing? Could you imagine? That'd be the whole show. Yeah, I'm just sitting here.
Just small talking the whole time.
I'm just thinking about Bigfoot. Yeah, there. Just thought about him again.
You could do it like that. Just don't know how successful it'd be.
It'd probably go viral or something stupid like that.
Yeah, that'd be the thing. Yeah, that'd be the way.
Yeah, it'd be just me just being an idiot, and all of a sudden that, woo, everybody check it out. So who knows? But I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we got some news to get to, and I don't know about you, but I got a hankering for some information. So let's check out the Paranormal Portal news. I just love this intro. All right, everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. As always, we're going to do our best to inform you, bring you up to speed on some of the amazing news. Some of it's actually paranormal, too. But it's all absolutely unusual or new and exciting, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. I had to put in some laughter in there because a lot of times we have a lot of fun doing these stories, so I guess the laughter fits just as well, right, Sheldon?
I think it fits perfectly, to be honest.
And there's like no other news broadcast in the entire world that uses the cheer, right?
We're unique.
This is news you can love, ladies and gentlemen. News you can love. Hopefully you do. But anyway, good to see all of you guys in the chat piling in. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. And first up, we should get to some of these news stories. And the first one, of course, is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. It's a fantastic website. Check them out. They do an amazing job, and definitely go over there and support what they're doing, because there's so many more stories that they have over there that we could never, I could do entire shows trying to cover just what they've posted over there. Just a great site full of lots of information. So definitely help support what they're doing. Just fantastic. But the first site is kind of resonates to what we were talking about just the other night. And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Major new project aims to resurrect the Tasmanian tiger. And of course, this is the thylacine. Now, I kind of think that they're doing just fine. Maybe there's not a ton of them, but I still think they're probably around over there. I don't know. I mean, there's so many sightings that people have seen, including people we know, like Ken Rotman and, of course, Dean Harrison of Australian Yowie Research. He saw one as he was doing a Bigfoot investigation or Yowie investigation. So I really think they're out there. But let's see what this article says. The new multi-million-dollar endeavor will attempt to bring the extinct species back to life via genetic restoration. Officially thought to have gone extinct decades ago, the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, was a distinctive carnivorous marsupial native to Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea. Now, though, scientists of the University of Melbourne in Australia have teamed up with the U.S. biotech company Colossal in an effort to de-extinct the species and bring it back to life. It's like, why am I seeing flashes of Jurassic Park in my head? The university recently received a $5 million philanthropic donation so that it could build the thylacine genetic restoration lab, having previously sequenced the genome of a juvenile specimen. To create a living thylacine, the project will involve taking stem cells from an extant species with similar DNA and turning them into thylacine cells using modern gene editing techniques. New assisted reproductive technologies would then be developed to reproduce a viable embryo, which would then gestate inside either an artificial womb or a surrogate. Actually producing a live thylacine, however, it's likely to take some time, with the scientists estimating that the first could be born within the next 10 years. If successful, the work could also pave the way for other de-extinctions in the future. Cue Jurassic Park, right? Maybe that's why. It's like, oh, yeah, let's get to the dinosaurs. I think they definitely have enough genetic matter from thylacines to create, the sequence needed. Also, woolly mammoths. I wouldn't be surprised. And I know that there's been some efforts underway to de-extinct woolly mammoths as well. So that would be kind of cool, just to see. I don't know, what does that mean? Because those things looked enormous, like way bigger than normal elephants that we have now. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm probably more complicated for the size, maybe.
Well, sure. I mean, they would probably require quite a big diet of something, whatever the hell mammoths eat. But I think they were herbivores. I don't think they were like chewing on caribou or anything. So
I was actually thinking that I'm surprised unless that's what they're hinting at, using like cloning technology to bring Tasmanian tiger back to life, because you can clone your dog and your cats in different parts of the world. So maybe that's what they're hinting at, but that's what I thought they were going for with the article.
Yeah, that is what they're going for. That's exactly what they're doing. They're gonna
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we're on the same page then now.
Yeah, which is this page.
Yeah.
All right.
All
right. So that's exciting. I think that's kind of cool. Maybe we'll see these come back both in the lab, and maybe the wild ones will come check them out. I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
Rachel gets right with saying, how will the mothers react to these babies? Will they be accepted?
Okay, so here's the thing. I know they've done this with other species, and this apparently works. So they were trying to because there's plenty of zoos that have tigers, but tigers, I think, are pretty high maintenance. So what they did was they took tiger cubs and gave them to a pig mother. And they took the piglets and put little tiger striped shirts on them and gave them to the tiger. And the idea was that the pig would raise these tiger cubs and they would be much less aggressive and stuff. And it apparently was working. I don't think they got old enough and decided to eat the mom. So I think that worked. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to matter. And you hear about other like dogs possibly adopting kittens and feeding them, little kittens and vice versa. I mean, it's not unheard of that animals will sometimes adopt other species and, including nursing them and such. So I don't know. I think it could work. I guess the hard part is, will it gestate correctly if they use a surrogate like that? But I don't know. Interesting story, though. I'm sure there'll be plenty more on that in the coming years. And if we're still doing Paranormal Portal news, we'll definitely let you know. But interesting. All right, next one up, again from unexplained-mysteries.com, is an article having to do with a woman having a near-death experience. And again, this is from August 14th, 2022. Woman who had NDE can't wait to go back. Huh? Wow. I mean, I suppose if you have a pleasant experience, a lot of times people that have NDEs are talking about how they're told they need to go back, and they're like, no, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. So whatever this experience is, apparently it's pretty blissful. So you can hardly blame them. But let's see what the woman says. It says, a woman who had a transformative near-death experience is now looking forward to experiencing it all again. Seeing events flashing before your eyes, observing a bright light at the end of a tunnel, or feeling as though you are floating above your own body are just some of the things commonly described by patients who have had a near-death experience. Others, meanwhile, recall meeting lost loved ones or even encountering divine beings. When 78-year-old Betty Edie, I guess that's Edie, died for a brief time during a hysterectomy operation, her own near-death experience was so profound that she now can't wait to go back and experience it again. It began, as so much experiences do, with her floating in the air looking down at her body. She was then told by 3 really ancient men that she had in fact passed on. The next thing she knew, she was seeing members of her family around her. My husband was sitting in the armchair, and I stood next to him, and I was concerned because he didn't know I had died, nor had my children. And I was worried for all of them, she told Inside Edition. But then I was given a glimpse into their futures and saw that they'd all lead good lives. She even recalled meeting who she believed to be Jesus Christ at the end of a tunnel, who hugged her and told her it was not yet her time. Before she knew it, she was back in her own body again. The experience, however, has had a distinct and profound impact on her life. I want to go back, she says. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
Yeah, it's like, no, come back. You got to pay for that surgery.
Oh, no.
So the doctor's like, clear, poof, clear. Poof. I got a vacation home. I got a payment coming.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. You know how expensive
There's
anything.
that dark humor.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, no, she didn't make a down payment. I'm sorry, folks. This is what you get.
That's where I get it from. Okay.
Yeah, well, there's probably more than that that you can blame on me, I'm sure. But yeah, I think that's pretty incredible. And it's, again, most near-death experiences are incredibly profound and beautiful. And who can blame somebody for not wanting to come back into this struggle that we call life? But yeah, I mean, that's really cool. I'm glad it was a good experience for her. And I think that's, of course, those that experience that, why would they want to come back? Things are tough here. And why not go where it's peaceful and happy? So, all right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's get to the next one. I got to close this ad here. All right. The next one up is from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is man's face seen in clouds before death. So it was like a premonition or an omen of some kind. This is an old one. This is from 2012. So we're kind of going into the Wayback Machine here. God, I didn't pull up enough news, did I?
Oh, no.
It's okay. We got plenty of stuff to cover either way. A woman in Australia saw a cloud formation that looked like her brother just days before his death. Marion Dawson couldn't believe the resemblance to her late brother, Jerry Wells, who died only a few days later of a heart attack and who had been flying overhead to visit family and friends at the time the picture was taken. I truly believe somebody greater than us knew this was about to happen, said Mrs. Dawson, or Miss Dawson. Yeah, I think, well, it wouldn't surprise me, I guess, is that pareidolia on her part from some kind of psychic information that her brother was going to die or whatever, or was that truly a divine message like, hey, get ready, this is coming? What do you think, Sheldon?
I was thinking about that. Even on a deeper level, I was thinking, like, what if, if time's an illusion, and let's say spirits can flow through time however they wish, what if it was her brother giving her the message that was going to be the time of his passing?
Sure. I mean, that's definitely possible, I guess. I mean, that's the thing with all of this. It's who knows, but it makes sense. I don't doubt that that's very possible. Or
a guardian angel. Yeah, it could have been any. Yeah, you're right. Really could be anything.
Is it a divine message like, hey, this is going to suck, but just so you know, everything's going to be fine? I don't know. They didn't show the pictures, so it's hard to understand what she saw, if it was just some part of her that made that connection, or would everybody that looked at those clouds think, God, that does look like a person's face? I've seen some pretty impressive clouds through the years. One time it was like a clear sky, and there was this one little cloud up in the sky all by itself, but it looked just like a little dragon, like, wings and everything. It wasn't flapping, wasn't doing anything. It was a cloud, but it looked just incredible. Another time I was looking up and had my cell phone, and it was like the hand of God was up in the clouds. There was just these, as far as your eyes could see, would be these, like a palm and fingers extending from it. It's like, whoa. I don't think that in either case, I don't think that what I saw was any kind of dragon. I don't think what I saw was a gigantic hand, but it's just that whole pareidolia of it. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, pareidolia is a real thing though, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could even be that, a garden. It could just be anything. We'll just stick with that. My mind's spiderwebbing.
It's okay. Welcome to my world. It's another thing you can thank me for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. The gifts that keep on giving, Sheldon.
Wes just said he had a near-death experience.
What?
He said, I just got back from a Japanese restaurant, and they had a sake challenge. They squirted sake in my mouth for 1 minute, 20 seconds like a wild animal. It was basically like a near-death experience. After winning 3 rounds of the sake challenge, I no longer fear death.
But are you blind now? I don't know how that works. Oh, well, good. You're going to have a great morning tomorrow.
Yeah, true.
That's going to suck. Oh, man.
I wish you the best, West.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's get to this article. And this is also from the Wayback part of unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is airline pilot startled by flying shark.
Oh?
Yeah. It's like I'm thinking like that movie, that B movie, Sharknado.
Oh, yeah, God.
So let's see what it says, though. I don't know what this guy saw. And again, this is from 2012. So it's from way back. But it says a passenger jet pilot coming into land was startled by a flying shark over Christchurch in New Zealand. The pilot had been preparing to land, and when he radioed ground control to report... Jesus. They definitely gave him a pee test when he landed. They report a blue shark flying at an altitude of several thousand feet. The bizarre sight was soon identified as a remote-controlled, helium-filled air swimmer shark that someone had probably received as a Christmas present. Warnings went out to other pilots in the area to steer clear of it. So it was just somebody blew it up with helium. Oh, well, that's not nearly as exciting as it was at first. It's like, Sharknado is real.
I would have said a tulpa. I was getting ready for it.
A tulpa? Yeah, that'd be a hell of a tulpa, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, why not? Anything else could be a tulpa, so why not that? But nope, it was just a pool floaty. Somebody put helium in and just let it go. God, what a mess.
It's a good prank, though. I got to admit, that's dedication. Someone's going to see it.
Yeah, it's like, no, that's probably not a good one. I mean, of course, the only people seeing it are pilots. So know they're questioning their sanity. It's like, wait, I saw a shark. I really saw a shark. Wonder how long it took him to actually identify that it was a pool floaty, and how much treatment this guy had to go through at first. All right, we're gonna say.
I mean, as far as it could travel, I'm surprised they figured it out at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's true. I mean, I don't know. Maybe other people reported it as well. It's like, no, it's really there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Very strange stuff though, but I don't know. We'll cover it on the news. Like I said, bet you didn't know that before you got here tonight. Always like to leave you guys with something new, some piece of information you didn't have before you came. And that might have been it. Although, every newscast I hope has good information in it. But here's another, what is it about Walmart? It's always,
Oh, no.
There's always something like extraordinarily weird and goofy with Walmart. Like you can see this whole cross section of humanity there, and I'm not putting people down. I mean, people are as they are, and everybody's unique and different and all that. But God, so here's a report coming from Walmart from 2012, and this is man tries to use $1 million bill at Walmart.
Oh no! Why? Come on.
Yeah, you got to think that there's no way he was actually trying to use it, was he? All right, let's see what it says. A man in North Carolina was arrested. Yep, he tried to use it. He actually tried to use it. Was arrested after trying to buy goods with a forged $1 million bill at Walmart. What do you mean? They must print these. The 53-year-old attempted to purchase a vacuum cleaner, a microwave, and a number of other items over the counter with $1 million bill that he insisted was genuine, despite the fact that the largest bill in circulation is only $100. The man was arrested and charged with trying to obtain property by false pretense. Well, there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you find $1 million bill, it's probably not real. I don't know.
I mean, I know they have like banknotes that you can I think they can have like 100,000 or 10,000 or whatever, but
yeah, I don't think they're actually in circulation anymore. I think
there
was a period where they were printed, but I think those are mostly just gobbled up into private collections, and they're not worth anything anymore other than the novelty of them. But
yeah,
that's pretty weird. This dude was trying to go to Walmart with $1 million bill.
I'm surprised he didn't question it at one point. He did not question it. He was confident.
He was, I mean, what? I want that change in hundreds, please. I mean, how are you going to work that one out? You got $250 worth of stuff. What is he going to get? $900,000 in change. It's like, well, I'll take it in gift cards.
Yeah, true.
There you go, folks. I guess you just never know. But I got to tell you though, sometimes those people at Walmart's those images are just like, oh my God, people go shopping like that. But yeah, this kind of makes sense. No offense to those of you that like Walmart. I don't mind Walmart. I have nothing against it personally, but that's definitely not a good con. That's not the way you want to roll.
We love Walmart because they have the best stories that come out of there.
Yeah, they got some good ones. That one I wouldn't have expected, though. I didn't ever think somebody tried to pull that one off. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been a presentation of the Paranormal Portal News. Let's get back to the rest of the show. Just in time for the break, actually. We just got a couple minutes before break. So we'll see you back at the regular desk. Hold on. I hit the wrong button. $1 million bill. Wow.
I wish they were real.
I'm a millionaire. Just one thing in your hand. Why not? Why not? I guess anything's possible, but yeah, I guess, if I don't know what this note looked. Was it like the little dinky ones that you get kids? And I mean, I had $1 million bill that I carried around my wallet for years. It was just this dumb looking paper thing with the Statue of Liberty on it. But it was kind of me, trying to project that and manifest that in my future. It didn't work at all, just for the record. But I had good intentions. But anyway, It is what it is. We are going to be going to the first break, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're new to the show, on these Friday and Saturday nights, we are simulcasting on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, as well as on YouTube. And so we have to take every half-hour break. So we are going to take a break here in just a few moments. And don't worry, we'll be right back in just a couple minutes and continue our journey. We got a bunch of stuff on the roster for tonight, some pretty cool stories. Hopefully you guys enjoy them. I'm really excited to go over some of these. So I'm excited for all of it. But anyway, and then we got to go over our question of the day from Discord. So if you didn't answer that, you're going to have to report to the office. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. We're into half hour number 2 of a 2-hour sprint tonight. So I hope you all are ready to be amazed and astounded at the strange paranormal goodness we're going to go through tonight. And hello to all of you in chat. Thanks for all the highs. Wave, not rave. I'm waving. How you guys doing? Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. And we got a lot going on. But first of all, for those of you that might not know it, there's also a Paranormal Portal Discord. And we've been that community has been growing. It's really cool. We're meeting new people coming in there all the time as well. And one of the things we've been doing over there, which has been kind of fun, and hopefully you guys will continue to participate in it. But there's a thread in there called Questions of the Week. And what we're doing is we're posing a question every day before a live show, sometimes on the same day as the live show, as in today. But other than that, we're posting these questions just to see what you guys think. Today's question was, I think, a good one because I kind of wanted to know, what do you guys think? However, it was posted kind of late. Sorry about that. So I didn't get a lot of responses. But Sheldon, can you post that link, or did you already? You did. Okay.
I have.
Okay. Yeah, that's posted in the YouTube chat. I guess I could post it in TFR as well. Hold on. Let me do that. Copy, and I'll post it in TFR for any of you that happen to be on TFR and want to get involved in the Discord community as well. Now I got to get everything back because my windows are layered. But can you read the question that we just asked today, Sheldon?
Absolutely. So, question of the week number 3. Do you think Bigfoot is A relic hominid that somehow survived the extinction and remains largely undetected? B, a primate/ape that continues to elude detection? Or C, is it some advanced form of interdimensional being that is capable of traveling interdimensionally?
And this question is brought to you by Sasquatch Chronicles. Because actually it's kind of a question that Wes asks during every one of his interviews. He's like, tell me, what do you think it is? And it's neat to hear all of the different answers and the similar answers as well. But so we got some response, right?
Yes, we do. Great question. And first answer from Buzzacino. He says, D, a relic of the giants, the smallest, fastest, and smartest that to evade death by humans, escaped into the wilds and so live wild. Maybe. Yeah,
I mean, it's a possibility. There are many people that believe that they're perhaps the Nephilim, which, for those of you that may not know, there was a biblical reference of the angels, some angels in heaven falling for earth women, human women, and mingling with them and creating offspring, which were known as the Nephilim. And some people speculate that perhaps these are those. These are these Nephilim offspring, or angelic offspring. So they are referred to as men of renown, or some called them giants. And so they are giant. So maybe that's true. Good point. Yeah. What else did we get?
7 and 12 Pearls said C.
Which option?
So C is it some advanced form of interdimensional being that is capable of traveling interdimensionally?
Okay. All right, cool.
And we do hear stories about that. So I mean that's definitely valid, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the last was Ghost Magnet 81. The book of the Genesis 6 conspiracy is a good book that leads me to believe that they might be a species that survived the greatest flood of Noah, or the Great Flood of Noah. I haven't finished it, so my thoughts are not completely formed, but it seems to answer many questions I have about how the Earth was repopulated. I think maybe that they have the secrets of sacred geometry and the other sacred sciences, which would account for their abilities that are beyond our comprehension, like suppose cloaking and super speed that resembles time warps. Oh, okay.
That's cool. I mean, those are all great responses. And any of you in chat have any opinions, let us know if you like Paranormal Portal Tales. Buzzatino. I love his limericks as they were. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's anybody's guess. Nobody knows, but we do cover a lot of stories that talk about them seeming to disappear. I've had one caller that I called into the show. He talked about how he was watching it walk through a grassy field, and then he could only see it from like the torso up, and the grass was only like, knee deep. So there was this space where it just seemed to be kind of floating as if it were kind of in this dimension and kind of not. We've talked to witnesses that swear they disappeared. They've seen the predator-looking things, and many people believe that they may be one and the same. They might be something else, though. I don't know, because if they're truly cloaked, we don't really know what you're looking at, other than you can see that there's a silhouette of some kind that looks human-ish, but it's certainly not one and the same. My lights flashed. So I don't know. It's anybody's guess what they are. But you could all be right. You could all be wrong. I don't know. I just wanted to know where you guys stood on this, because we've certainly covered the breadth of possibility with them in different encounter stories that we've talked about. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things we can't possibly understand with our current knowledge of the world around us, including, the fact that there's so much more that we're not perceiving all the time. Whether it's sight, whether it's sound, whether it's other, vibrational manifestations that we just cannot perceive with our physical senses. So it's anybody's guess, but I think it's pretty interesting. I do really, I'm kind of wondering, and I had this epiphany, and I think it's mine, but maybe it was just something I gleaned from somewhere. So if it's somebody else's thoughts or whatever, or maybe I had the same thought as someone else, but I'm wondering if the disappearing phenomena has more to do with us than it does with them. In other words, is it possible that within us is the ability to see much, much more than we do, whether it's through the pineal or other more subtle senses that we just haven't tuned into? And so is it possible that people once in a while can see into other vibrational realities? Like you're in the right frame of mind, you're in just this, maybe it's a really relaxed state. Maybe it's almost almost awake meditative state that suddenly you're perceiving another reality that's layered right on ours, whether it's dimensional, vibrational, or whatever the hell it is. And then when you see something like a Sasquatch, you kind of go into a shock, and then it fades out because our awareness of it fades out. Maybe they're not the ones stepping in and out of dimensions. Maybe our awareness is. Maybe we're the ones that are seeing more than we usually do. And that could possibly be the same for spiritual encounters in some degrees as well, that we are able to perceive manifestations because we're sometimes we can just glimpse by chance, by happenstance, by any number of possible reasons. But maybe all these other things are just existing as they always do, but our awareness sometimes shifts up a degree or two, or shifts into a whole new gear that we're not tapping into regularly. So that's kind of a thought that I've really been throwing around in my head quite a lot lately. And it may explain some things. I don't know. I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts on that. Do you have a thought on that, Sheldon? You are muted. You know that, right?
That explains a lot. Okay, that explains a lot. All right. So my thought on that is it could be possible that they are masters at like hiding and blending in and whatnot, and the ones that you see disappear, reappear, cloak could be apparitions too. Who's to say that Bigfoot can't have apparitions too? That's just a thought. I'm not even sold on that already, but that's a thought I just had about that it could be that way too. Also, we have a phone call, possibly. Yep. And also, Jake said that he has a story on TFR chat he'd like you to read.
Yeah, I was glancing at it. It has to do with Amelia Earhart, and it was one that we've covered on the show before, but we can revisit it. But let's get to this call first. Thank you, Jake. I will read that in just a couple minutes here. Let's get to the call, and this, I believe, is our good friend, Mr. Ruger. Are you there?
Yeah. Don't want to hold up the show, but
never are.
But here's food for thought.
Okay.
When I seen mine, I was on one ridge and it was on another.
Mm-hmm.
probably 150, 175 yards away, walking away from me. I seen its back, the back of its head, and I seen one arm swing. This was in November, no leaves at all, and I do not remember seeing it from the waist down.
Wow. That's
all I perceived, the only thing in my memory is from the waist up, like it was walking behind something.
Mm-hmm.
But after staring at this ridge for a couple of years now, there's nothing there that it could have been behind.
Wow.
So was I so concentrated on the size of it, or the fact that its hair was like almost, it looked groomed and like super shiny? Was I taking in so much information on the mass of it
mm-hmm.
that I didn't look down?
Right.
You know, I didn't get a whole view.
Wow.
But I didn't see anything. I didn't even see it walk. Of course, it glided, like I've always said. You know, they said no up and down. It's like they just
Sure.
real smooth,
mm-hmm.
like it's on a skateboard, I always say.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see anything. I honestly don't think I seen anything from the waist down. I do not remember. But I remember everything else in clear detail.
That's powerful.
So
very, very powerful.
Did it do something
mm-hmm.
to where I couldn't see that? Like you said, is it something that we're doing to
mm-hmm.
where we're just getting glimpses?
Right.
You know, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think it is, Ruger?
That's a loaded question because I don't know. I mean, I started out flesh and blood.
Mm-hmm.
Just 100%, you know, and my goal, and I've told this before, was I spent 5-6 months. I was determined to drag one to the house behind a truck. Well,
sure.
That didn't happen, of course, you know.
Right.
No, I started out flesh and blood, and I really don't know. Then I went to a group of people, and now I'm doubting that.
Mm.
I've had so much stuff happen that the paranormal side of it is overriding, you know, the common sense side of it, or however you want to say that.
Right.
So I really don't know. I don't know.
Man. Yeah.
I don't know. We may never know. In my opinion, we may never know, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's so much in that we can't know. And unfortunately, as Wes always says, nobody has one in their garage they can study, so they don't
exactly.
They don't lend themselves to good study.
Until we have one that we can, we're
mm-hmm.
not going to know.
Right.
And I also agree. I also think, I should say, other people have this theory as well. Is I think once you've seen one paranormal thing,
yes.
you're kind of open to it.
Yep.
But when you go out searching, whether it's Bigfoot, ghost, or whatever, anything else can come in and portray it as
yes.
what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of times, what we think is actually a physical something or other walking through there, or made this or made that, wasn't made by a Bigfoot at all.
Right. Yeah.
It is something else tapping into your awareness.
Very good.
And, you know, tricksters is the best way I can put it.
Sure.
But
yes,
that's just my opinion.
I like that
because I've seen some weird stuff, man.
But I like that idea because it would certainly help understanding a lot with some of the bizarre things, because sometimes the chain of events that people witness seem so disjointed. Like, well, we got stuff going on in the house, doors opening and closing, and then I see this face looking in my window, and then, you know, and then I saw this wolf thing, and then I saw something else, and it's all these various phenomena that seem to be represented in one location. And it's like, could there really be that much going on in one place? Or is it, like you say, is it an intelligence that's parroting these things and pulling that from our heads?
Exactly.
Yep. Great point.
Yeah.
Great points.
Or zoning in on experiencers who know that there's something out there and are open to it and are actively searching. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, you know, this guy's looking for something. Let's just show him something.
Right. Right.
You know? Yeah.
So I've been.
Yeah. I don't know, guys.
See, I've been thinking about that a lot as well, because especially in relation to those orbs, the orbs seem to be perhaps something spiritual, or at least energetic, some energetic presence. And it wouldn't surprise me that they could be the tricksters. There's every culture has some kind of mischievous spirits. Sometimes it's the fae, referred to as the fae or sprites, or, you know, any number of things, or elemental things that like to play with people and to screw them up. So, you know, and
Absolutely.
I don't mean to discount the fact that there could be, the Bigfoot could have something directly to do with the orbs. I can't possibly know, but it's certainly something that's crossed my mind a bunch. So I'm really on the same page as you. I think it's just so hard to know.
Right. And I seen my first orb last October. Of all my years in the woods, I had never seen an orb.
Mm-hmm.
And I was down there at the cabin doing an all-nighter, and this thing come really traveling down through the trees, did a zigzag, and lit up a tree. Now, I would like to say that it landed on the tree, but I could see the detail in the bark and everything from about 80 yards away.
Wow.
And this tree just lit up like you just put a round, you know, perfect spotlight right on it.
Wow.
And then it went out, and that orb took off the tree, zigzagged the exact opposite, and out of the woods it went.
Yeah, see, that's incredible. That's really incredible.
Yeah, and I started camping by myself when I was 13.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I've spent a ton of time in the woods.
Right.
And that is the first one that I've actually seen. I've seen lights before, you know, just like somebody turned on a flashlight and shut it off and kind of just wrote it off as, you know, whatever. But this was the first one that actually came through at speed, did a maneuver, an unnatural maneuver, and then lit up a tree.
Wow.
And then went right back the same way.
That's
whatever this orb was, it was being controlled by something intelligent, or
it was intelligent.
Because it makes no sense. Yeah, it does make no sense that it backtracked the exact same way it left.
Oh,
you know, bugs don't do that, man.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was something else. It was about the size of, it was a little bit bigger than a softball.
Okay.
Maybe a grapefruit, something like that.
Sure. Wow.
You know,
that's amazing stuff, brother. I'm just thrilled.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, thanks for calling in and being a part of the show as always. We love hearing your tales, brother.
Yeah, that deal from the waist down, though, that still gets me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm with you. I don't know either, but
maybe it's them, maybe it's us.
Right. Good points. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. All right. See me later.
All right. Take care, brother.
See you,
Bye.
Ruger.
Well, that's really cool. I think that's fascinating. But again, he brought up a great point. Is it a tricksters? Tricksters, just a brief 10,000 foot view or 30,000 foot view is there's these spiritual or energetic presences that like to just screw with people. Sometimes it's really malicious. Sometimes it's really dangerous kind of screwing with people. But other times it's just like pranky kind of stuff. I almost swore. Pranky stuff. But it just makes your head kind of spin because, you know, again, there's so much under this wheelhouse called the paranormal, supernatural, you know, and 40 and topics. And the wild part about it is how much of it blends together and makes it really, you're not really sure if you're dealing with something energetic and spiritual, or you're dealing with something that's physical, or you're dealing with something that's kind of both, or are you dealing with something else entirely? And it's just, it's, you know, the mind numbing, hair pulling kind of stuff. It's like, what's going on here? But that's the journey. So,
Android Purity says, I agree. The frequency our brain is tuned to, aka vibration, gets on the same radio station frequency with another dimension, which allows us to see/hear something in that dimension. And that could very well explain why why some people, maybe even children, how they can see so much and that we can't. Sure. It's like we lose that vibrational being in a sense.
Yeah, or the awareness, or maybe something about being a kid that they have access to so much more frequency than we do. But as our lives get more complex and stuff, we just narrow it into this real narrow field because that's called growing up and taking care of, your responsibilities, and we lose the ability to see all that stuff. But yeah, that's incredible. Great thoughts, guys. I really appreciate it.
Rachel.
Jake, I'm not.
Rachel gets it. What? Sorry.
Jake, don't forget. I won't forget, Jake. Promise. I've been doing this.
Jake.
I've been doing this for a long time, brother. I so far I usually remember when people submit stuff, but just hang in there. We'll get to what you wrote in just a few minutes. What did Rachel say?
So Rachel Gets It Right says, maybe the Fae and Bigfoot are aware of each other and pull shenanigans on us silly humans.
Well, I mean, there could be this whole different communities that surround us, whole different communities of different intelligences, and maybe they just get a big kick out of, screwing with us. You never know. I mean, again, folklore is filled with these kind of things, legendary tales, alleged histories of some cultures. First Nations, European cultures, Asiatic cultures, they all have tricksters. They all have some version of the Fae. They all have some version of these weird other creatures. And so who knows what they're capable of. But whatever they are, they seem to be avoiding us pretty good when they want to, and then causing us all kinds of mischief when they want to as well. So very cool. Very cool.
The Unknown wants to know, do you remember what I submitted?
I don't know what you send me so much stuff, Unknown. I don't know which one we're talking about here. He's the Unknown, ladies and gentlemen, has been a fantastic friend and contributor, and he and I trade emails all the time on the Paranormal Portal radio page. But he's putting together video elements. He's putting together ideas and skits and all kinds of amazing fun stuff. So if you're saying what you submitted, it could be any number of a dozen things, brother, because you are a machine of creativity. So let's get it to what is my kid theory has been that the more new brain neurons are connected as the kid grows, the more it clouds their radio reception from that other dimensions. Yeah, maybe. Good points. But let me get to what Jake's submitted, because Jake, of course, has been waiting patiently, but we're going to get to his stuff right now. And he left me a bit of a synopsis on Amelia Earhart, and we've got like 3 minutes, but at least we'll lay down the groundwork for it. Maybe we'll discuss it a little bit on the other side. It says, Amelia Earhart's death on March 17th, 1937, Amelia Earhart and her companion, Frederick Noonan, left America for their trip around the world. Then, on July 2nd, 1937, her plane crashed on an island known as Nicomaroro Island. Newspapers were everywhere. Headlines saying that Amelia Earhart was dead caused big commotion, for her hard work and determination was what made her famous. A few months later, a man was exploring the island and found a shocking discovery, and there were a disassembled skeleton by a burned-out campfire. The bones looked like they were tore off limb by limb. The man brought the bones to a lab in Fuji to see if the bones belonged to Amelia Earhart or Frederick Noonan. The studies showed that the skeleton did not belong to Amelia or Noonan. The bones were disposed of. 40 years later, a man decided to look at the bones for himself, and he measured them and found that they matched Amelia's bones almost exactly. Although the island is not inhabited by people, it was in... where he kind of chopped it here. Although the island was not inhabited by people, it was inhabited by animals such as the coconut crab. The coconut crab is 3 feet long and has pincers as strong as a lion's jaw. Coconut crabs also have a good sense of smell. They can smell blood from long distances, and they wait in the rocks for birds to land and attack them. Using their pincers, they break the bird's wings and tear it to pieces. The bird starts bleeding and attracts tons of coconut crabs. Scientists came to this. Amelia's plane got off course somehow, and they ended up crashing on Nicomaroro Island. Noonan most likely passed out and died on the crash. Amelia survived and was likely injured and bleeding. She started a fire and laid down in the sand. Her exposed blood attracted the coconut crabs, who will come out at night to look for food. It's that they came, as Amelia laid there, the coconut crabs came and tore her to pieces. Yeah, it's a horrible thought. It really is, but it's very possible. Very tragic ending to, an iconic historical figure. She did amazing things, and it's so horrible to think that may be how she passed. And those coconut crabs are absolutely freaky looking things. They're huge. They call them coconut crabs because they can actually crack coconuts with their claws. They're so strong. And so they do apparently have this amazing smell, as Jake mentioned, and will possibly hunt for miles looking for the source of that blood. And when they find it, it's game over, because there's a lot of them there on that island. There's a ton of them there. And they wouldn't be the first. She wouldn't be the first victim to coconut crabs. There's people that have been killed by them before. So very tragic tale, but it's great though. Thank you, Jake, for sharing that. Appreciate that a bunch. So we'll be right back after the hour break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. More to come in just a couple minutes.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
All right, folks. Very cool. Little updated news information from Batman in our YouTube chat. He said that he's never heard of coconut crabs killing somebody. He hasn't never heard that they could do that. So that's good. I like that version better because killer coconut crabs to me is just about as tragic an ending as I think anybody could hope for. That is horrid. But
as far as that story goes, though, I'd be curious if coconut crabs would eat a corpse. Like, let's say she laid down, went to sleep, and passed away in her sleep. Would coconut crabs eat the remains?
I think they do. I think they do actually. They are drawn to blood. I think. I have read that. I don't know. Again, I don't pretend to know much about them, but it seems that they are a bit carnivorous, but I don't know to what extent. Are they more like scavenger carnivorous? I mean, it said that the text said that they hide and wait for birds, and then they snap them and break their wings and stuff. It's like, oh, God.
It's brutal, yeah.
It is, and they're such freaky looking things. Let's just look at, for those of you that might not be familiar with coconut crabs. Coconut crabs. Let's just bring one up on screen so you can see the beauty, the beauty of these leviathans of rage. They are just
leviathans.
They are just. I mean, they're probably just fine, but God, they look like they're built for absolute terror. Now I'm going to put it up on screen here, and these are coconut crabs. Here's a guy's holding one. Obviously, they're not like lethal. Oh, don't touch them; they'll rip your hands off. But look at this, a garbage can. Look at that. What the hell, right?
Oh my God.
I'd be out there with the Raid cans and flamethrowers and I just can't even imagine what the hell that would look like to see that out on your garbage. It's like, nope. But look at this one. Here's something. What the hell is that? Could you imagine those legs though? Oh my God, you need a lot of butter.
I was thinking that too. Like, they must have a lot of meat in there.
I think they're like related to hermit crabs. So they're obviously a land-dwelling crab. I don't know if they're edible or not, but God, they look like they'd be full of meat. At any rate, it's a face only a mom could love. But jeez, they are just nightmares. They look like nightmares. They do. But I like Batman's version of it that they're they don't normally kill people because that would just be horrible. I don't know. That's just scary as hell. But anyway, that's the update. Thank you, Batman, for that. I appreciate it because I don't pretend to know much about this stuff, and I don't want to misreport things as well. I just don't know. But that is about as freaky an ending as I think anybody could ever have nightmares about. But so I guess maybe they're are coconut crabs kind of paranormal? Well, they're not normal.
And they are.
Thank you. All right, we got a bunch more. Again, the phone lines are open if anyone wants to call in. You have something paranormal of your own to share. By God, pick up that phone, and we'd be happy to hear from you. But I got a bunch of other stuff to discuss, including some stories from Sasquatch Chronicles. Thank you, Wes. I like Farman Wes's page. I'm like the dumpster diver of the paranormal. I just go through people's pages.
Let's see what Wes has got.
Yeah, see, I got to prep for the show. I'm like getting on my scrubs and diving through his dumpsters. No, I mean, it's a great site, of course. But I do have an article pulled up, from Thought Catalog that I thought was kind of cool. I guess we'll find out. It's supposed to be paranormal, but we'll find out as we're reading it. It's sheer terror. And this is 30 people reveal the scariest thing that ever happened to them. And this is by Lorenzo Jensen III, because apparently there was 2 others before him. And it's from October 29th, 2016. And that's a hell of a picture right there. For those of you on YouTube, you can appreciate that. That looks absolutely terrible. All right.
Jeez.
The first one, it was found on Ask Reddit. Again, so this is another Reddit aggregate. But I love these articles because they give you a great cross-section of people's experiences. Or claims. I should say claims, because we can't know if these are actual experiences or just fabrications. But the first one is, oh, what a beautiful baby. My parents have told me that one night they were up watching some TV after putting me to bed. And this is when I was young enough to still have a baby monitor. We lived in a 2-story apartment, and my bedroom was on the 2nd story. They heard someone talking softly through the baby monitor saying, "Oh, what a beautiful baby." Needless to say, my dad flipped and grabbed a baseball bat and ran into my room, but nobody was there. Oof.
God.
Well, I guess that's better than hearing babies suck or something like that. Somebody that hates babies says, "That was a beautiful baby." Well, good, because you don't want the other version of someone that didn't like kids. But anyway,
More of a positive spiritual experience.
right,
Possibly.
right, yeah, exactly. Hopefully it is, but it doesn't sound like anybody got hurt. But that was by Inchcape. I don't even know what the hell that means, but that's whose Reddit thread that was. Number 2, a man's handprint on my bathroom mirror. 2 weeks ago, I got out of the shower to find a man's handprint on the upper part of my bathroom mirror. I haven't had a mail over at my place in over a year. But have you cleaned your bathroom?
You beat me to it. Yeah, true.
How
long has it been?
How long has it been? A little Windex, once a week should be good. But that was by Hazel Dama. I think that's how you pronounce that. And, certainly that's a hallmark of many ghostly experiences, but who knows. Number 3, the shadow at the bottom of the door. It was a house where my family stayed. First thing me and my sister started noticing, it's kind of hard to explain, but when our doors were closed, we could see a shadow at the bottom of the door, like someone was standing behind it. Adding to that, my room was downstairs next to the laundry room and garage. My girlfriend was in my room while I was in the garage smoking, and she heard someone walk by the door and could heard stuff being moved around the laundry room. No one was home except the 2 of us. And that was, shut up, you're always talking. Yeah, that's creepy. Of course, another kind of standard haunting fare, I guess. Number 4, we found her in the bathtub covered in blood. Ew.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know where this is going, but it says, when I was a kid and lived in my old apartment, my mom befriended the downstairs neighbor who would often invite her over for coffee and tea because she was always so lonely. Well, a couple of weeks went by without hearing from her, so we both go downstairs and knock on the door. It was like a movie where when you knock on the door, slowly crept open, as if it had been this way for a while. We walked inside and found her in the bathtub covered in blood, and the smell was disgusting. And apparently the lady's girlfriend left her, and she couldn't handle the pain. Aw, well, my mom's way of comforting me was, "Don't worry, Mark, she was our friend, so she won't haunt us." Well, I don't think that's where you start. You don't start there.
What a tone-deaf sentence.
Yeah. Tone deaf. Yeah, that's probably not where you start with something like that. You might want to start with 911, and that's really, really a tragic story. It's not really paranormal, but it's all kinds of creepy. Number 5, the deadbolt kept unlocking itself. That's got to be a horrible experience. You like to know that your locks are doing their job, But, yeah, nothing like a presence that just unlocks it at will. I just moved into a basement suite, Is there such a thing as a basement suite? It's just a basement, isn't it?
Kind of hope so.
No, I mean, it's if you're in a suite, you think, oh, well, upper floors, you get a nice view and everything. But anyway, every time I went out, I would lock the deadbolt, but not the door handle. But when I came home, a lot of the time, the deadbolt would be unlocked and the door handle would be locked. At first, I thought I was just confusing about which one I had locked, so I started really paying it more attention. It kept happening, and I realized someone must be going in when I went out. I assumed it was the landlady who was annoyed, but didn't say anything at first. Then one day I came home and found the wrong lock locked again. I went in, PO'd, and opened the fridge to get something to eat. There was a book in the fridge that I had never seen before. I collected old books, and this one was published in the early 1900s, which creeped me out completely because it was like it had been left for me. I finally called my landlady and asked if she was going into my apartment and told her what had happened. She freaked right out and said the last person who lived there was a really creepy guy with mental health and drug problems. She got all the locks changed that day and it never happened again. Yeah, that's not paranormal.
Oh, no, that's just creepy.
That's
oh, my
all
God.
kinds of creepy. I don't know. I mean, we don't know if this is a man or a woman. That's still really creepy and wrong, but yeah. Not really the paranormal threat I was hoping for here.
No, that's...
I turned to see a bunch of leaves flying around my mother's urn. This one sounds paranormal. I was at my mother's funeral sitting down while someone was giving a eulogy, and all of a sudden it got cold, and I turned to see a bunch of leaves flying around my mother's urn. Later that night, my dad and I were driving back to the hotel we were staying at. On the way, it just felt nothing but chills going down my spine. We arrived at the hotel, and when I got into the room, I went over to shut the window shades, but something caught my eye, and I looked down at the parking lot down below. It was a faint white figure that looked very much like my mom, and it just smiled and vanished. Aw.
Oh, that's nice.
That's
actually.
a cute. That's a great story, right?
Yeah, that's a good kind of like haunting.
Yeah, or encounter anyway. Captain Fireball 45 wrote that one, but I will say this: I remember one possible paranormal event, and I can't say that it was paranormal or not, but it was certainly symbolic for me personally, and it was when my grandmother on my mom's side passed, and it was a nice, I don't know, I'm thinking it was a fall day, but it might have been spring. I don't remember when, because I'm challenged mentally for dates and names, unfortunately. But I remember standing there in the cemetery, and I was just thinking, I hope she's okay. I hope she transitioned and everything is fine. And of course, just standing by the graveside, and the service was over, but I looked up. And right above the cemetery in the sky were, I swear, hundreds of white birds going in a circle right above. Now, I don't know what kind of birds they were. I'm not a naturalist or a biologist, so I don't know, but I don't know. But it was just this beautiful symbol. And it's like it's almost like they had formed like a tunnel into the sky, the way that they were circling. And it was just this beautiful moment, and I got these chills like thinking, she's okay. Everything's fine, I don't know. It was just kind of a beautiful moment, but when she talked about the leaves going around the urn, it reminded me of that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was for me. I mean, we were very close, and her passing, she kind of had a real long, drawn out ending to her existence here, because she had got dementia, and that was very hard because I mean, it's tough to watch someone you love and that you grew up with too, and not even knowing who you are anymore. It's a very painful thing, but it was kind of a beautiful moment. Like, she was there and, maybe letting us know she was just fine. So for me, it meant a lot. I don't know, but it could have just been birds. I mean, I can't say that it was paranormal, but it was symbolic for me.
The message is still beautiful, what you got out of it too.
Right. Yeah. And for me, it was perfect. That was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'm not going to mention when I'm muting anymore, Sheldon.
I knew you were coughing. When it gets quiet like that, I knew you were. I just didn't do it this time.
Okay, well, thank
So
you.
know.
I saw a shadow person is next, and this is when I was 16. My friends and I had an apartment in. It says INN like an inn. Had an apartment in the building his parents owned. It was an old building in Chicago and had tunnels that Al Capone and company had built. His dad blocked off. We used the roof as a place to go and smoke cigarettes. You had to go through the attic to get there, though. And there were no lights, so the only lights that we had were from the crummy flip phone bricks. flip brick phones? Okay. One day my friend Manny and I were going up to smoke, and I told Manny I had to go to the bathroom, so I did in the apartment. Well, I went up and felt like there was someone there. It was pretty common for us to mess with each other, so I said, Manny, I know it's you. Quit screwing around. And I followed this shadow figure, thinking it was him. I yelled, stop playing. I know it's you, as I followed this figure. And then I heard from downstairs, Manny said, what? Well, I was terrified. I just followed him to a corner. I ran back downstairs and asked if he was there. He was talking to his girlfriend at the time, and I told him I didn't want to go upstairs. I know what I saw. People always try to say maybe the shadow was your own. Well, that's not possible because I had a Motorola flip phone at the time, and I was only holding that in front of me. I saw a shadow person, and I know that others have too. Wow, that was by Ed Gar. Ed Gar. Okay.
So since it wasn't interacting with him, like it wasn't an intelligent haunting, you think maybe it was like an apparition from a different time type of thing?
You mean residual? Well, I think it seems to have appeared for this person to follow. You know, I mean, so it does seem like it showed up there at that moment for what might be a purpose, but you're right. It could just be a residual thing that he just happened to see it one time. I don't know. That's a great question, but it's hard to know. I don't, anything else happened before or after, whatever, but it could be residual. That's a possibility. Yeah. So number 8, I looked down and saw this tall, slender figure walking up the stairs straight at me. God, that's got to be a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
I think those are the ones that kind of creep me out the most when I see these paranormal videos of when people they're looking down into a dark basement and then something walks by and nothing should be there. It's like, oh God, and then of course, what do? They go down there. And I'm like, wow, you got some testicles. I mean, no offense. And I don't mean to make that a gender issue, but you know what I'm saying? It's a brave thing to see something like that and then go pursue it. It's like, oh man. But, I mean, if I was investigating someplace, I guess I would too, but it's something that you just hear about. It's like, just leave that all the way alone. Number 8, I looked down and saw this tall, slender figure walking up the stairs straight at me. This is even worse because it was coming at him. But anyway, we don't know if it's paranormal yet because obviously some of these aren't. I was about 9 or 10, and it was late at night, and my bed was right under the window. I was just gazing out the window, looking up at the sky when I saw what looked like a UFO. It was a white orb, rather large, shot straight into my line of vision, then it moved in a few circles, and then shot away. Well, it came back and did the same thing, only it was closer and larger, but it made no sound. Well, I immediately got creeped out and walked from my room around the corner and was about to walk into my mom's room, but the door was locked. Her door was facing the stairs, which went down to the living room / kitchen, and suddenly I heard someone coming up the stairs with a snorting sound. I looked down and saw this tall, slender figure walking up the stairs straight at me. I remember saying, Dad? But then saw that it was something inhuman. I immediately froze in fear. The creature, or whatever it was tall, slender, 2 slits for a nose, large black eyes, got right up into my face, continuing to make that awful snorting sound, kind of like the sound a pig makes. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I just collapsed as it towered over me and bent down, pushing its face right into mine. And finally, I blacked out. The next thing I know, I was being awoken by my mom at the bottom of the stairs, and she asked me how I got there. And I said I must have sleepwalked. I'll never forget that face and that snorting sound. And I think I think I died of a heart attack if I ever saw it again.
Oh my God.
That's just horrible. And again, is it a true story? We don't know. But if it is, that's a really screwed up story, because whatever did that was trying to, mess this person up, like just mentally give them something that they're never going to unsee,
I don't see what the point would be, unless he was really just going up there to abduct and then bring him back. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because he started out on top of the stairs and ended up at the bottom. Maybe he was abducted. Maybe that's kind of hand in hand. But that was by @Club Silencio. Silencio. Okay. Which means silence.
True.
All right. Number 9. Whatever was behind me was evil. Oof. Our old house was at the corner, pretty secluded and near a main road. One night I woke up to hear my mom yelling. I was sleeping on the futon, and this guy wearing all black just strode over me running. The burglar ran off before he got anything. I was more surprised to be woken up that early rather than the fact a burglar just broke into my house. Wasn't the first time the house got broken into, and certainly not the last. We weren't rich by any stretch, mind you, pretty much lower middle class. Other than that, I woken up to sleep paralysis, and at the time was pretty convinced whatever was behind me as I was laying on my side, it was evil. I could just move my eyeballs, and all my instincts told me not to look at it. And all I felt was pure fear. That was by Psychosurge. Okay. Well, those are two very different experiences, but both horrible.
It could be some sort of entity taking advantage of the fear and the break-ins and whatnot, taking advantage of that fear.
Yeah, it could be. That's a weird one.
It's a target.
There is the belief that some shadow beings, shadow people, do subsist off of fear, that they feed off of it, and again, nobody could know, but that's the belief that's out there. Is it true? Maybe. I don't know. Number 10, I saw a person's shadow dart against the wall outside. My wife and I stayed at a small rental property in Bath, UK this spring. Whilst in bed, I heard the gate to the property right outside our bedroom window open and close quietly. Sounds like a lurker of some kind. This immediately made me jump and become alert. I heard someone trying to quietly walk on the gravel walkway to our front door until the motion sensor light came on. I saw a person's shadow dart against the wall outside of our room and instantly went into attack mode. I ran into the kitchen, grabbed a knife from the wooden block, and stood at the front door ready to pounce. It was silent for way too long, and then I heard someone running away and the gate slam. My wife said that once the motion light turned off, the person took off running. I have no idea what their intentions were, but I almost stabbed the hell out of someone that night. It still gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah, that's horrible. I mean, I don't know. Thank goodness I've never experienced that, and I hope I never do, because that would be horrible. You just don't know. I mean, obviously this is not supernatural. Probably it's just a burglar or somebody, but you don't know what their intentions are. Is it a serial killer or just someone looking for a DVD player so they can score some meth or something? You just don't know.
Yeah, that's scary in itself, not knowing.
Yeah, it's all not knowing. And that's the creepy. But there's many people who say, I prefer the paranormal to the living. And it's like, yeah, I mean, in this case, because you don't know what you're dealing with. This is somebody that, it could go full Dexter on you, or it could be just someone trying to steal your rims on your car. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Eesh, creepy. But that was by Nappy Boy 28. Okay. Do I have time enough for one more? All of us saw a triangular, dimly lit craft was flying fast over us. And then we're going to go to break and come back and hit the Sasquatch Chronicles reports. I was outside with my brother and best friend just talking and shooting around the basketball at night. And I don't know why or what made us do it, but we were all looking at the sky as we were talking. And all of a sudden we see a triangle, dimly lit craft that was flying fast over us. What struck us was how silent it was and how clear we could see it. It was at least, 100 feet high. We all ran inside and told my family, and in the end, I really just think it was military aircraft, but who knows? That was by Twitch Moments. Could be the TR-3Bs, right?
Yeah, it's triangular. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
dimly lit. So it could be just those 3 or 4 lights.
Could be. Yep. Could be the TR-3Bs. Those are believed to be reverse engineered vehicles from recovered craft that crashed or whatever. So, do we have them? Maybe. Maybe they're out there. If you want to see one of our Pieces episodes, youtube.com/paranormal portal pieces, you can check out all our short videos, and one of them is dealing with the TR-3Bs. One of our listeners called in and shared his encounter with seeing a TR-3B or triangular UFO, if it wasn't indeed one of ours. So we're going to head to the last break, folks. We'll be right back with the last half hour. A couple more stories from Sasquatch Chronicles, dealing with some Bigfoots, and we'll see where we end up. But don't go away. More to come.
If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class. And
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the home stretch here for the show. Unfortunately, it goes way too quickly, but hope you're having a good time, all of you that are here with us and joining in the festivities of the Paranormal Portal. And we got a bunch more to go here in the last half hour, including 2 stories from Sasquatch Chronicles. I hope I can read both of them. We'll see. This first one's kind of long, but I think I can. Let's see, how long is the second one? Let me see. Yeah, I can get through these both. Okay. And then maybe we'll have time for a Phantoms and Monsters report as well. But the first one I'm going to read to you, again, comes from SasquatchChronicles.com. And I can only encourage people all the time to check this out. Check out, everybody knows Wes's podcast, of course, because, I mean, it's just the phenomenal show. And anybody with an interest in Bigfoot or any of the topics that we cover here, you'll find plenty of episodes on Sasquatch Chronicles to cover your, or to satiate your appetite, or at least keep you going. But it's also a great site for a lot of amazing information and stories and links and stuff. So head over to SasquatchChronicles.com and check out the blog, and you'll find a lot of things. And sometimes even our shows are highlighted over there. Thank you, Wes. I do appreciate that. But we're going to go to one now. It's from August 17th. And again, Sasquatch Chronicles blog. August 17th, Gorillas in the Mountains. And it says, a listener writes, so starting about 3 weeks ago, the woods have been very active in my neighborhood in the woods. Okay. Dogs barking more than normal, barking with a little more energy than usual, and all throughout the night, rather than tapering out as the night gets later. You know, I gotta say that I think dogs have like a network, because I remember being back home in Minnesota, in the river valley there, and you could hear like a mile or so. It's very quiet in the rural area, and you could hear like a mile or so up the road, dogs barking in the distance, and then slowly the barking gets a little closer and a little closer, and it's like, oh, something's coming through. So I don't think it's a surprise that sometimes Sasquatch chooses to take out dogs, because I mean they can hear them. They can hear them and sense them long before any of us can. So
it's like a warning system,
right? It really is. It's like this whole chain of alarms going down the river valley. So I was just like, yep, it's getting closer. Yep, coming. Okay. So whatever it was, and I'm not suggesting it was always Sasquatch, but it's definitely a feature of dogs. They will let you know eventually. But it says, along with some strange howls off in the distance, whoops, owl hoots, and other strange sounds. So about 2 weeks ago, I'm laying down and I hear the craziest noise. I don't know how to type it. The first sound could have been explained away by a drunk guy, possibly dry heaving and trying to talk, and the sound being amplified by the metal fire department building in the canyon below my house. But the exact same sound happened twice, with the exact same cadence and tone back to back, followed by some type of scream or screech. God, that's got to be a haunting sound. Ugh. I thought it sounded like a raccoon being killed. When I heard that, I was up and at my window trying to figure out what I just heard. As I got up from my bed, I crushed an empty water bottle with my foot, which was actually pretty loud in the dead of night. While at my window, I heard 3 very low, quiet whoops over about 5 minutes. Over the next couple of nights, the strange sounds continue, but nothing is louder or as close. Saturday night comes. I have my kids with me, and I decided to set up a tent on the deck because we have not been able to make any camping trips this summer, and I actually wanted to get a better ear on the woods. The boys pass out pretty quickly, and I'm visited by some raccoons early on. I scare them off, and I'm laying there listening to the woods, and eventually I fall asleep. I'm awakened by my daughter's cat doing this pathetic meow whine that she does, and it was quite irritating because I was out cold. The cat stops her whining, jumps from the rail, and hauls her tail around to the other side of the house. I'm thinking, well, that's weird because something scared the hell out of her. Then I hear something massive coming straight to my house with a purpose. My first thought was that it's a bear coming out to get that cat, but it was a stomp, stomp, crunch, crunch. I have my, it says I have my shotgun in the tent. It's not loaded, but have the shells on the buttstock belt. I'm still anticipating bear coming through and doing bear stuff and moving on. But I'm also slowly pulling the pump down so I can thumb in a shell and prepare to wake the boys up and get in the house in case a bear comes out onto the porch and deck. I was trying to be quiet, but that slide made a slight clank, and this thing stopped dead in its tracks, probably about 15 to 20 feet away from the house. What's a standoff? I'm really starting to think that this is not a bear. After about 5 minutes of nothing, I hear this almost irritated sigh/growl. Now I'm tripping. Off in the distance, I hear almost a chorus of faint, higher pitch howls, and then one very low and heavy like human growl howl. Then every dog within 5 miles begins to howl, not bark, but howl. At this point, I'm frozen, waiting for this thing below me to make a move, and honestly, I'm freaking out. I hear another sigh. No movement. And then I start hearing owls talk to each other from different areas in the hills. About 30 minutes go by of standoff, and a freaking rock hits the top of my tent and bounces to the deck. About 10 minutes later, a stick comes whirling over and lands right behind my head and in between the tent and the deck railing. I've not made a move. Then I swear I hear this thing try and meow, but it was pretty raspy. It's like, meow.
Probably.
Some more time goes on, and I hear what sounds like a man whistle about 50 yards behind me and down the hill, and within a few seconds, a car drove by. I hear this thing do its sigh a couple more times with no movement. I'm scared. I could have probably stood up and hit this thing with my light at any point, but honestly, I didn't want to see whatever it was. The sun starts coming up, and my bravery starts coming on as well, and I decided to get up and out of the tent to turn the outside lights on. And nothing is there. I didn't hear this massive thing make a move for about 2 hours. I have no idea when or how it left. So that's pretty much it, man. I know it pales in comparison to some encounters, but that was enough for me. So Sunday night, I'm already thinking I can't be the only one hearing this stuff going on off across the canyon. I hear the gibberish, dude, and it sounded like these things were arguing, and then bang, someone took a shot, and it's pretty much died down since whoever took that shot. A couple of side notes. I hope this doesn't make it sound like everything becomes Tootsie Roll, but a few months back, I'm driving my route and I see a bunch of crows in the highway, so I'm looking for the roadkill. I'm looking off to the side of the road and see something big and hairy and grayish. We don't have anything like that around here. Next day, a deer skeleton on the road, same spot, but cleaned, bloody clean. So day 3, I decided to stop and check for some types of tracks, and sure enough, 2 massive footprints. About 4 weeks ago, my friend sends me a message saying, "Unless y'all got gorillas out here in the mountains, I just seen a Bigfoot." He said he was coming around a bend on a dirt roadway. Out he came on this thing. It gave him an oh my god look, dropped to 4, and went face down over the bank. The really wild part of this sighting was he said it was with 2 other smaller creatures, as if they were having a meeting, and he interrupted. So I'm pretty sure these things are around right now. Wow.
Ooh.
That's got to be an incredibly intense experience to know that something is right out there. Just right outside. And it's, I don't know, just standing off, just waiting for 2 hours, though. That's a hell of a patience.
I mean, we may have talked about this before, but for the sake of me forgetting about talking about this, I wonder if in populated areas or getting close to populated areas that they used they mimic animal sounds as like maybe code for like communicating with others.
Oh yeah,
of,
absolutely.
Of them type of thing.
Yeah, there's lots of accounts of them, especially the owl sounds. That comes up all the time. But it's like a massive owl, like whoo, whoo. It's not like whoo. It's not like the whoo that you do expect. People say it sounds like this oversized mechanical owl, like whoo, whoo. It's like that. But I will say that many stories talk about them being mimics. It was Linda Godfrey when she was on the show. She talked about her neighbor always used to talk on her phone out on her deck, right near the edge of the wilderness, the Kettle wilderness that went downhill from the houses that were up on the edge. And her neighbor would always answer the phone, hello, hello, hello. And she said that she was out on her porch outside of her house, and from down in the forest in this Kettle, it's near Kettle Moraine. So the kettle means it's like a big bowl, like imprint forest. And she said down in the forest, she heard, hello, hello, hello. Like that.
Oh my God. No.
So it was really funny, but it's like, wow, yeah, maybe they do mimic. The Native Americans, First Nations also called them the great ventriloquists and mimics and stuff. So there's a lot of history there to suggest that they do try to copy sounds, and I guess sometimes they're not real good at it though. So I don't know. It'd be like let's see, who would it be? Like James Earl Jones trying to mimic Michael Jackson.
Oh, I see.
Like that. It'd be like that kind of deal. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy though. I mean, it makes you think that if you're hearing let's say you're hearing a fox, you're hearing, I don't know, whatever animal, but it sounds off. You could be hearing a Bigfoot mimicking.
So I just have one question though, Sheldon. What does the fox say? Thank you.
Oh, you're many years too late on that one.
Come on, that's still fresh, right from the oven. That's served fresh every night here on the portal, folks.
You say so.
Actually, I do know what foxes say, because remember that fox that befriended us? Do you remember?
I never saw it. Only you did.
Oh, well, no, not only me, but yeah. I mean, I guess you didn't. Okay, but I
don't remember.
Yeah, it was kind of a cute thing. It was adorable. There's recordings of these deep gibberish conversations. I think some say it's Sasquatch having conversations. Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, like, of course, Ron Moorhead's Sierra sounds are a great reference point for people wanting to hear what does the Sasquatch language maybe sound like, and it's very impressive. Those recordings are from the 70s, but they still hold up as these real enigmas that would seem to suggest there's a linguist, a naval linguist, language person deciphering languages and stuff that has researched them. He's a professor as well, and he says that there's clearly a language, like a complex language in there, and I think that's fascinating. But
what did he call it? Samurai talk, right?
Samurai chatter is what it's often referred to as, but that's because it sounds like like an old samurai movie, So, what is it? I don't know, but it seems to be a language. Okay. But that's a good story. That was really good. Now, was it over the top? Nothing. It's suspenseful. And that's what I find really interesting about these beings, is that they seem to be very, very acutely aware of what they're doing. And they're very good at cranking up the anxiety. Like they are just literally psychological warfare geniuses, because they just keep cranking and cranking and cranking, and they never let people get comfortable. If they want you out of an area, they will just continually crank up the anxiety, and to the point where it actually gets dangerous if you still linger. There's many reports of it getting, the activity escalates over a period of time, but it starts out more subtle, kind of like the footsteps and stuff. Bigfoot must have won the prizes on open mic night back in the day. Surely. Karaoke night is huge for the Bigfoots. So very cool story. And again, special thanks to Wes for letting us use those. Next one up is also from Sasquatch Chronicles. This one's shorter. There's a cuss word in the title here, so I'm gonna have to get creative here. But this one is from August 14th, and it's look at that freaking chimpanzee. Could be freaking, right? Almost. No.
Yeah, it could
be.
Maybe.
Need a couple more asterisks, but anyway, a listener writes, "Hello, Wes. I'd like to start with a little backstory. I grew up in Perry County, Mississippi. Hunting and fishing was just part of life. I love being outdoors and I love firearms. America. My 19th birthday was spent in Fort Benning, Georgia, after completion of OSUT 1, or is that an I? I think it's 1. And then attending RASP 1. And once graduated from there, I was sent to Alpha Company 275. My battalion was deployed to Syria at the time, so I soon deployed to my unit. Spent several months in country before redeployment back to Fort Lewis, and I then take post-deployment leave and go back home to Mississippi. While home, my uncle and I go for a ride in the woods that I grew up in. We round the crest of a small hill, and then it drops down into a big bottom, and up on the side of another hill that had been logged. From our left, moving right, there's a giant thing on all fours, haul and tail across this clear cut. As soon as my uncle sees it, he says, "Look at that freaking chimpanzee." I yell back, "It's a bear." And so he smashes the gas and we speed up. And as we do, you can see that this thing is putting his front arms in between his rear legs as he runs, and his arms are by far the longest part of its body. It was jet black with cinnamon tint on its back and shoulders. The hair looked to be several inches long, all over except for the back of its arms. It was possibly a foot long or so. The hair looked clean and manicured. It shined and glistened in the sun. That reminds me of Ruger's story. As it was running, we couldn't see its head. It was almost like it had its head tucked back under it. It goes into the woods, and it covered about 700 yards in just a few seconds. Man, that is moving. It covered that distance before we could travel 200 yards on the road in a vehicle. We get up to where it crossed at, and we start looking for tracks on the road, but it is hard packed that we couldn't find anything. We walk out across the clear cut, and this thing was running through all the absolute nasty terrain. Trees lying on trees and limbs everywhere. Just an absolute mess. And it navigated it like it was almost not even making contact with the ground. This event changed my uncle, and since then, I believe he has had other experiences that he won't share. I spent a total of 6 years outside of Tacoma, Washington, with a total of 3 combat deployments and 4 training rotations to various countries. I never felt or seen anything that seems off. Thanks for the opportunity to share, and I'm very open about it and have held top secret security clearances, and there is no doubt in my mind if they're real or not. I'm a very level-headed man with strong morals and common sense. I know what I saw. That's, speaking of Linda Godfrey, that's the name of her last book that she's published is, I think that's what it's called, I Know What I Saw.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's a thread that comes up all the time. People know that they're seeing something that doesn't fit. And how insulting is that? You know, to say, well, you saw a bear.
Oh my God. Yeah. We're like most people that see those, well, I don't know. I lost what I was going to say. Continue.
Well, I'm going to just pull up a thing. Let me see. Okay, this. And then I want to do another one. I just want to put it out there. There we go. I want to show the huge differences between what that is. Okay. So here's a bear silhouette. And bears are extraordinarily recognizable. I mean, that's a bear. That's a bear silhouette. And nobody could look at that and go, well, that's a chimpanzee, you know?
Yeah.
Now, here's a primate silhouette. This is a gorilla, just for the for the sake. But how could you confuse the two and not know that one of them is a bear and one of them is not? Just side by side like that. I hope they can see it on the screen. But those are two very different things. They were talking about the arms being the longest part. Now in bears, it's very uniform. The forelegs and the back legs are pretty even. Probably a little longer on the forelegs, but with the build and their no shoulders, you know, they don't have the primate's extended shoulders out to the side. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to tell that this is not a bear. And anybody familiar with the outdoors, you know, especially those that hunt, at a glance, they can see whether something's a bear or not. And I think it's got to be about the most condescending thing to have somebody go, no, what you saw was a bear.
I mean, even especially going at that speed.
Right.
Like a few 700 yards in a few seconds. That is insane.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that clocking out at. What is that? What is that speed like in miles per hour? And it's over this impossible terrain. Now, I will say bears can move. Bears can move. They can run down elk and other ungulates like that. And ungulates, of course, are built for speed. They're able to cover a lot of ground. But a grizzly, even a grizzly at, you know, over 1,000 pounds, can run down an elk. They can move. They can get that mass moving. But I don't think I think this is a whole different kind of speed, what this guy explained.
Because when you hear stories of like Bigfoot running, they even say like it looked like he wasn't breaking his sweat. It looked like he wasn't not putting much effort into it. Right. But in this scenario, this is like another gear that was kicked up because he had to get away type of thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And now I don't know that what they saw must have looked something like a chimpanzee, right? Because look at that chimpanzee. But he didn't say look at that bear, and the one guy did, but I think he was just trying to grab something that it could be because it wasn't a chimpanzee. But I think that's got to be one of the most condescending things, to have someone say you saw a bear, if you clearly saw something else. And it's not that easy, I don't think, to mistake a bear for what would look like a primate. But again, fear does things to people's perceptions. I understand, I get it, but I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there because I think people love to throw ideas like that. Oh, you just saw a bear. Like, that's the big one because it's the only big, hairy mammal that's most likely what people saw. That's not always on all fours. They can get up on their rear legs. So to them, it just kind of explains it. But I don't think it does. I don't think it does at all.
Yeah, Batman says 700 yards is about 1/3 of a mile, 60 miles per hour, 1 mile a minute. So
that's cooking. I mean, that's like scary speed. That is just scary. And again, you got to think of the terrain he explained. It was all broken branches and logs and it was just all scrubby. Now, if that was a person, you'd be like delicately making your way over it because we are clumsy as hell if it's not a pavement or sidewalk or grass, like a mowed, manicured lawn. But whatever this was made it quickly. Now, I didn't see it. I obviously can't say what this person saw or didn't see, but if it's somebody that's lived in the outdoors and experienced all these things, they're probably plenty qualified to say it wasn't a bear.
Yeah, come on.
That's a tough sell. But anyway, again, people will violently or aggressively, I should say, defend their paradigms. Like, paradigms are really important to people, and when things challenge that challenges the very foundation their lives are built on. So I don't blame people for that. I just wanted to say one thing before we close out for the night, but coming up in September, beginning of September, the 8th through the 11th, there is a conference going on in Vernal, Utah. And this is an incredible event. It's called Phenomenon, and there's going to be a bunch of wonderful people there presenting, and also just people there with their booths, having booths and stuff. We have a booth and are going to be there. And this, again, is from September 8th through the 11th in Vernal, Utah. If you go to phenomenon.net, again, Phenomenon like this with .net, you'll find more information about it. But here's, of course, all the presenters. Expedition Bigfoot's going to be there. The Mysteries at Skinwalker Ranch people are going to be there. James Vera of the Giants series on History Channel are going to be there. Dr. Jeff Meldrum will be there. And we'll be there. Adam Davis is there, as well as a bunch of other people, and all the events are scheduled and shown on the bottom of the page, so you can see what's going on at this conference. But it looks like it's going to be a great time. If you're in the neighborhood, we'd love to meet you there. Head over to Vernal, Utah, September 8th through the 11th, Phenomicon. Don't miss it. But that's going to wrap it up for us. Sheldon, quickly, anything in closing?
Yes, if you guys want to stay connected to the community, I'll put the Discord link in the chat. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining us. Remember, if you're not subscribed, get subscribed, hang around, ring the bell. But we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night.